From the PEP Radio Newsroom, these are the stories we are covering at this hour. Now that Hurricane Helene is a catastrophic threat to the panhandle coast of Florida and other states further inland, we start with this urgent message from the National Weather Service for anyone listening in the southeastern United States. Urgent message, National Weather Service. This will be one of the most significant weather events in the western portions of the area in the modern era. Record flooding is forecasted and has been compared to the floods of 1916 in the Asheville area. The impacts from this event are expected to be greater than Tropical Storm Fred from August 2021, the mountains in 2004 from Francis and Ivan, and in upstate South Carolina, the Saluda River Basin flooding from 1949. We plead with everyone that you take every single weather warning very seriously through the entirety of this event, as impacts will be life-threatening, and make sure you have multiple ways to receive weather alerts. The protection of life and property is the overall mission of the National Weather Service, and we pledge to stand by the folks of the Western Carolinas and Northeast Georgia. We cannot stress the significance enough of this event. Heed all evacuation orders from your local emergency managers and go to a storm shelter if you do not feel safe at your current location. Hurricane Helene will make landfall later this evening near the Big Bend of Florida. Significant to catastrophic, life-threatening flooding will occur along and near the Blue Ridge Escarpment. Historic flooding will be possible in this area, as an additional 9 to 14 inches of rainfall will be in store. Many landslides will occur as a result, with a few large and severely damaging slope failures or debris flows are likely. Possible hurricane-force gusts in the North Carolina mountains, northeast Georgia, and the western portion of upstate South Carolina. 60 to 70 mile an hour wind gusts possible elsewhere. The combination of strong winds and supersaturated soil will lead to widespread trees down and numerous power outages. And we continue now with this information from Florida, again from the National Weather Service and the National Hurricane Center. From Calhoun County, Florida, to include the Tallahassee area. There is a significant threat to life and property that includes typical forecast uncertainty in track, size, and intensity. The potential for extreme flooding rain. The flooding rain threat has remained nearly steady from the previous assessment. Emergency plans should include the potential for extreme flooding from heavy rain. Evacuations and rescues are likely. You need to urgently consider protective actions from extreme and widespread rainfall flooding. Heed any flood watches and warnings, and failure to take action will likely result in serious injury or loss of life. The potential impacts are rated devastating to catastrophic. Extreme rainfall flooding may prompt numerous evacuations and rescues. Rivers and tributaries may overwhelmingly overflow their banks in many places with deep moving water. Small streams, creeks, and ditches may become raging rivers. Flood control systems and barriers may become stressed. Floodwaters can enter numerous structures within multiple communities, some structures becoming uninhabitable or washed away. Numerous places where floodwaters may cover escape routes. Streets and parking lots become rivers of raging water, with underpasses being completely submerged. Driving conditions become very dangerous. Numerous road and bridge closures, with some weakened or washed out bridges. As for tornadoes, a tornado watch is in effect for the panhandle of Florida. The situation is somewhat favorable for tornadoes. The potential for a few tornadoes, and because of this threat, emergency plans should include the potential for a few tornadoes. If your shelter is particularly vulnerable to tornadoes, prepare to relocate to safe shelter before hazardous weather arrives. In other news, Mother Jones and LGBTQ Nation are reporting that on Wednesday afternoon, Representative Clay Higgins posted a mocking, racist tweet about wild Haitians practicing voodoo and flooding into the U.S. from the nastiest country in the Western Hemisphere. Such rhetoric would be surprising for most members of Congress. In the case of Higgins, it serves as an excellent introduction. The post from Higgins, which he soon deleted, focused on the legal Haitian migrants in Springfield, Ohio, who Republicans continue to slander for sport and potential electoral gain. The tweet is racist. There's not much more to say about that. There is, however, a lot more to say about Higgins, a member of Congress whose disturbing personal history has not gotten much attention. One of Higgins's first appearances in the public record came in a 1992 newspaper article dug up by Bayou Brief, a Louisiana publication that has investigated the congressman. Higgins, then age 30, was commenting on Pat Buchanan's run for president, which came 1 year after the former Ku Klux Klan Grand Wizard and neo-Nazi David Duke was nearly elected governor of Louisiana. Duke won't get the vote. Pat will. Pat represents much of the same positions, Higgins explained to a reporter while attending a Buchanan rally, correctly sussing out Buchanan's white nationalism. Regardless of the fact that David's a homeboy and all that, the boy's a Nazi, and that's a real problem. Still, Higgins admitted that he'd recently voted for David Duke for governor of Louisiana. Higgins's missteps have allegedly not been limited to rhetoric. The first of his 3 ex-wives, sure, the party of family values, right? Well, he wrote while seeking a protective order against him she wrote while seeking a protective order against him in 1991 that Higgins put a gun to my head during an argument. She explained that he threatened that if I ever came near the house, he would shoot me. Higgins denied ever being violent with her. Perhaps there are other incidents which we do not know about. As Higgins himself admits, he has skeletons. Not only did I do things wrong, you better start early, pack a lunch, and bring batteries for your flashlight if you intend to go back through my history and find everything I've done wrong, he warned in a 2015 interview. Bring a shovel. You might even need an excavator. And in other news, state-level laws restricting or threatening transgender rights can have significant adverse effects on trans and non-binary young people's mental health, according to new research from the Trevor Project, a leading LGBTQ youth suicide prevention organization. In a study published Thursday in the peer-reviewed scientific journal Nature Human Behavior, researchers at the Trevor Project explored the causal relationship between anti-transgender laws and suicide risk between 2018 and 2022, concluding such laws significantly increased past year suicide attempts reported by transgender and non-binary youth. 19 states during the 5 years studied by researchers enacted 48 anti-transgender laws encompassing issues that range from limitations on gender-affirming healthcare to restrooms and the ability of a trans student athlete to compete on a sports team that aligns with their gender identity. Suicide attempts increased among all participants whose home state had enacted at least one anti-transgender law, according to the study's findings, with participants aged 13 to 17 reporting the highest increase in suicide attempt rates, ranging from 7% to 72%. That's likely because most policies target minors, researchers said. That's a quick check of the news. To learn more about these stories, click on the links on the PEP Radio news page for this newscast. And to keep up with the latest from PEP Radio, download the Live 365 app and search for PEP Radio. Now let's get back to more music here on PEP Radio.